listeners, to Mind Over Matter. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are diving into the world of entrepreneurship, empowerment, and creating a life on your own terms. Now, if you have ever felt stuck in a career that doesn't fulfill you, or you dream of building a business that gives you the freedom and flexibility you desire, this episode is definitely for you. Our guest today, Sasha Eburne, is a powerhouse entrepreneur who went all in on her business in just 2 weeks. After 20 years in corporate business management and successfully running her own virtual assistant business, she now helps women build, grow, and scale their businesses so they can live life on their own terms. Her story is nothing short of inspiring, listeners, and she is here today on Mind Over Matter to share her wisdom, mindset, strategies, and the secrets behind her rapid success. So, if you are ready to take control of your career and step into your power, let's quickly dive in. Sasha, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's really great. That's really great. Sasha, what made you jump into the world of entrepreneurship? You went all in your business in just 2 weeks. If you can take us or help us revisit that moment, and what was that turning point that pushed you to make that leap?
Sure. So, what was it, 2020 when COVID hit over here in Australia? And I had been working in hospitality and events, predominantly in five-star hotels. And that had been my whole life for a very long time. And pretty much the world came to a stop and a close. And the hotel that I was working in became the first hotel in the country that was part of the quarantine program. And pretty much after a year of trying different things and trying to stay in jobs and, while the industry came back, which it still didn't until much later, during COVID, I met with a friend to have a coffee, and I sort of asked her, what is she doing now? And she'd previously come from the same industry in hotels, and she told me that she was a virtual assistant. And it spiked my interest a little bit. I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I always used to say I was a entrepreneur in an employee's body, because I just wanted a little I wanted a lot more flexibility and a lot more freedom in my life. And I didn't jump on it straight away. I probably waited about 6 months, and then I was working in a real estate firm and was not enjoying it, very much micromanaged. And then one night I just decided to set up my business. I did my website, I did all the business registrations, and within 24 hours, I got my first client.
Oh, wow. 24 hours. That's
24 hours. So I did my only client and my full-time job for a week and realized that there was a lot of opportunity out there. So after a week, I went and quit, and I still had to give a week's notice. So then by the end of that 2 weeks, I was full-time in my business, and I'd already had one client and then another client, sorry, from the first one. And then within 3 weeks, I had a full 40 hours of client work.
wow. Wow. So I think that the biggest, the most important takeaway I feel the listeners can take away is, yes, entrepreneurship gives you the flexibility and freedom. However, it's not, a quick leap. It's not an immediate leap. You need to have a kind of runway, or you need to have a cover. As you mentioned that you, I think, worked for a considerable amount of time. You got your first client. You got a hang of it, and then you consciously decided to take that as a full-time entrepreneurship as a full-time. So I think that should be a key takeaway. When anyone wishes to move into entrepreneurship from their corporate world or job world.
Yes, definitely. A lot of groundwork to do.
A lot of groundwork, yes, absolutely. And um, uh, did you have any kind of fear or doubt, self-doubt, during the early days, when you were handling your clients or when you just created your website or something like that?
I think it was more nerves rather than a fear of doubt. I think it was because it'd been something that I'd craved for so long. And when I did finally go in, it was more of a this has to work. I am a solo mum, I have a mortgage, and I was just like, I have to make this work because I
Mm.
didn't want to go crawling back to my job. I didn't want to go crawling back to my 9 to 5. So because of that, that just drove me because I could see how much freedom I could have. I could see the flexibility. And once I'd really solidified the industry and what it looked like, I was just like, this is the life I want to live. So it had to work. So even though, I'm human, I jump on sales calls with clients and I'd get nervous about quoting my rate like everybody does in the beginning.
Yeah.
I knew that this was it for me. It was a knowing.
Hmm. I think a little bit of nervousness is good. It gives
Yes.
that motivation. Yes, I'm
Yes.
nervous, but I know I can navigate through this.
Yes, exactly.
Great. And now, when we talk about women in business, many women, they hesitate to start their own business, because they have they fear instability. So, how do you help your clients overcome this mindset and help them, encourage them take that first step?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that I come up with all the time. And what is really the most apparent thing is even as women, we actually want that freedom and flexibility so much more than anybody else because we are, even in households where there is a mum and a dad, and it's still always the mum that needs to take time off work to go to the school, and that there's just so much more pressure to be present for your children. So to me, the drive is there, yet
Mhm.
there's still huge fear of women jumping into the entrepreneurial space because there's a lot more underlying issues there in terms of, not worthy enough, not good enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's more about, oh, it's easier to just get a 9 to 5. And I think sometimes that they think that the revenue goals are just, too far fetched. Whereas, I see women coming into this space, succeeding every time, exceeding their corporate income. So it's kind of a two-pronged thing because they crave and desire it so much more. And do you know what else? There's a lot of societal conditioning that,
Mhm.
teaches us. They teach us we go to school, then we get a job, and then we get a house and we have kids, and that's how society is. So there's a lot of women out there that are unsatisfied with their work and they don't know that there is other options for them as well. And I think it really goes down to, how do they want to live their life and can they actually see that there's something else? And there's so many women that just like that's it for them. And I think it's more how do we actually get out to all these women to be like, this isn't how life has to be. You don't have to go and ask for permission to go on holidays to be told no. I mean, having your boss have control over your time and your life, I think is just now that I'm on the other side, it's just ludicrous that we give them so much control.
I mean, I have gone through that, and I can feel that. And also, I think these are the predefined templates, especially for women. I think somehow it's deeply ingrained, and I think it's one of the biggest blocker in that creates that kind of fear of instability, or maybe even hinders that thought to take the first step or take any risk for their own for themselves. And
Yes.
so, also, Sasha, you have built an amazing community of virtual assistants. What do you think is the key to creating a successful and sustainable VA business?
What is the key to running a sustainable VA business? I think do you know what the difference is?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to be about the impact. And I think the VAs that go into it just to make a quick buck on the side,
Mm-hmm.
they're just not going to create such a, legacy type of business. And I always feel with business, you have to have a what is the reason you do what you do? And that really comes down to the impact, because the impact is going to show in terms of your integrity, in terms of the way that you show up for your clients. And it's just about giving the impact for your clients so that they move their business forward. What
Mhm.
then comes from that is the money. Money is a secondary gain to the impact that we make in our client's business. And I
Mhm.
think if we just do surface level work and we're not making impact, then what fun is that? Where's the satisfaction? And we want to do the work that lights us up. So I really encourage my clients to actually figure out what do they love and just do that, because there's no point just doing work for the sake of doing it, because then you're just reverting back to your 9 to 5 behavior. So I think definitely making sure that there's an impact and that they really care about, shifting the needle forward in their client's business.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And also, when you talk about entrepreneurship providing you the freedom and flexibility, uh, you know, entrepreneurship often comes with a lot, different set of challenges, when compared to a 9 to 5 job. And it requires even much more time, effort, energy than a traditional job, at least in the beginning. So, how do you prevent burnout while still hustling to grow your business?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and I think what you said there is in the beginning, because I know that we do talk about the flexibility and freedom, though
Mhm.
you need to do the work to get to the flexibility and freedom. It's not going to just be apparent in the beginning. So, what I've learned over the past few years in business is it's not about work-life balance. It's more about being in flow. And how can you actually include that flexibility and freedom in your daily activities, especially in the beginning? So, one, you feel like you've got the flexibility in your behavior, as well as you are still hustling to grow that business. So, this is where we get creative with a technique that I like to use, which is habit stacking. So if you really want to make sure that, you're moving your body and you're preventing burnout, but you
Mhm.
want to be upskilling or you still want to be working to really meet your goals, is, just going for a walk whilst maybe you're responding to your DMs or listening to a podcast, and actually stack those habits on top of each other. So you're still filling up your own cup, you're still looking after your well-being, but you're still learning and you're still growing, you're still moving the needle forward in your business. So coming up with creative ways to do that, as well as being okay that your list is still going to be there tomorrow and focusing on you. Because if you are not well, then your business is not well.
That's absolutely true. And also, when we talk about mindset, uh, so you are also a certified NLP practitioner,
Correct.
neurolinguistic programming. So how does this training influence the way you coach and support your clients? Especially from the perspective of mindset.
Yeah, it's a great question. So NLP actually changed my life in the way that I live and breathe and have changed my behavior. And what I love, the fact that I've got this qualification that I can support my clients, because it's the change work. So a lot of people come into the business and they struggle to charge premium rates. They struggle to value their time and their freedom and even be putting boundaries in place for their clients. So a lot of the work that I do is to really support them in changing their mindset to be able to show up with confidence and clarity to essentially respect their rates and respect their time. And
Mhm.
that's where the change is. And it's proven the ones that actually make the change, where we get to the bottom of the root cause for their behavior or the thoughts that they have, the imposter syndrome, that I'm not good enough, I can't charge that, all of that. Once we do the change work, we work out where that stemmed from in their unconscious, and we actually change their mindset. They get to show up in a very different way and live their life in a different way, as well as showing up in their business, because we've done the change. If I didn't have these qualifications, I actually think that I would struggle to coach effectively, because you would be teaching a strategy But unless you actually change the way that you think and feel about things, those strategies are not going to be adopted, or a lot of people revert back to their old programming. So they might learn a strategy, but then their old programming comes out because our body's designed to protect it. And we don't want to go into flight or flight, that they'll just revert back to their old selves and be like, oh, it's just easy to get a client at $40
Mm.
rather than honoring themselves in that moment and moving forward. And that's really where we get to make the change and lead from more an abundant mindset rather than a scarcity mindset.
Hmm. I love that part. Yeah, abundant mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. And also, as we were discussing about the societal conditioning, especially for women who have a lot on their plate to manage. Um, I think apart from working with them on personal development, mindset, I think another key part, which I believe is also communicating and, having that support system around them to help them thrive in the world of entrepreneurship. So, how do you help your clients to manage that aspect of, getting into the world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I think it's really about surrounding yourself with the right people, which is sort of what you mentioned there. And it's proven that if you surround yourself with the right people, you can actually grow further. So the old saying is your network is your net worth. And sorry, the other way around. Your net worth is your network. And it's one, I believe that in business, collaboration over competition every single time, but to be able to surround yourself with like-minded business women
Okay.
to be able to unpack things, to talk about things, to be real with things. And actually, there is plenty of businesses out there for everybody to work with. So why not build your community around you? Why not help each other? Why not connect and collaborate with each other? And the community that I built, I actually find that a lot of them become friends, which I love. And also, a lot of them decide to work with each other as well, which I love. So, there's certainly a lot of benefits for those when they're starting out to actually associate with bigger communities, invest in coaches, and actually be part of these masterminds because not only does your business grow further because you learn the strategies that are tried and tested, but the women that you get to surround yourself with is just phenomenal. And the amount that you can learn from each other and the amount that you can support each other, I think is really the essence of supporting someone to thrive in their business because they've got people around them that are on the same journey and you get
Yeah.
to move and pivot with them as you go as well. And I think it's really amazing to watch those behaviors and how the connections come to form as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it can really accelerate the growth trajectory because you have got people who have been there, who have done that. So they can really mentor, guide uh, the uh, women who are just new in the world of entrepreneurship, and then the right way. And of course, your net worth is your network.
Yeah.
Also, do you have any daily habits or non negotiables that help you maintain the work life harmony, not the work life balance, maintain that flow every day?
Yeah. So this is something that I'm always trying to improve on. And most recently, I have actually invested in breathwork practitioner training so that I can become a breathwork practitioner. And that has really given me a lot more resources to actually add to my daily routine and very much starting the morning with breath and really just grounding myself and really setting my day up for success. I also like to try and move my body every day. I think that's really important, especially if we are at our desks for a lot of the day.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I tried to teach my clients is one, the to do list is never going to, like, you're always going to have a list as a CEO and be okay that at the end of the day, if the list isn't done, that's okay. But I teach my clients to actually do the hard things on their list first.
Mm.
Because if you do the hard things on your list first, then by the end of the day, you'll still feel like you have succeeded. So it's kind of a bit of a mind trick as well, because we really want to ensure that every day is a success. So if you do those hard things, you'll feel so much more successful than if you just pick the easy things and be like, oh, well, that didn't get done again. So really focusing on those hard things first thing in the morning, I think is super important.
That's a really good strategy because it feels like a big win. It feels like the heavy lifting has gone off my shoulder, and now I can be much more creative. I've completed all the hard tasks of the day. So
Yeah, absolutely.
good, strategy. That very good practice, and I encourage all of our listeners as well, especially women, um, uh, to take this away as a good tip. Also,
Yeah.
before we wrap up, Sasha, for women listening right now who are on the fence about going all in on her, their business, what's that one piece of advice you would want to leave them with?
I think that really look inward and actually be honest with yourself and have a look at what do you want for your life. And if currently what is happening in your life in terms of your job, your 9 to 5, the inflexibility, the having to ask for permission to do what you actually want to do is not how you want to live your life,
Mm,
is start looking and exploring and talking to people. Because whether it doesn't have to be an online business, it could be anything.
mm,
But there are so many opportunities out there to be able to lead the life that you want to live and just explore those and actually just be really open minded because you might actually find something else that you love that's going to light you up that give you the flexibility. So just be open to it and talk. Just have conversations. Right in the beginning, I had virtual coffees with other virtual assistants around the country. I'm like, I love this. I love having these conversations and really work out what is true to you and what do you want to do for your life and know that you could actually change, you can pivot, you can actually create whatever you want to create in your life. The only person that can make the change is you.
so true, so true. And I also encourage all of our women listeners to practice self compassion. Before people are judgmental to you, don't be judgmental to yourself. Take that first step, take that action, and of course, uh, take all the important takeaways from Sasha from this podcast. And Sasha, also, if they want to reach out to you, connect with you, to seek more inspiration and more knowledge, more wisdom, how they can do that.
Yes, I'm always up for connecting. The place that I hang out all the time is on Instagram, which is just Sasha Eburne __.
Lovely. We'll have the details in the show notes for our listeners. And Sasha, thank you so much for this incredible conversation. I believe your journey is a testament to what's possible when you actually commit to your vision. Have trust in your abilities, your skills, and you take bold action. So, thank you so much for inspiring all of us, especially women, through your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, listeners, to connect with Sasha, refer to the show notes along with this episode. And also, if you loved this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Until next time, keep believing in yourself, keep pushing forward, and remember, it's always mind over matter. See you soon. Thank you.